considerable confidence this year that Iowa will probably go there and take care of business. Because that's not the overwhelming consensus with Iowa fans right now is that they're concerned. And the line is what, 3.5, which I expect to be closer to 6
4. I think 4. I think is what I saw it opened up at. I don't know if it's moved at all since then, but I mean, I don't know, because the problem here is, so one thing I did hear you mention earlier was that Iowa State didn't put up very many offensive yards last game.
They didn't.
Worth noting, they only ran 45 offensive plays.
Yeah.
So they were at 5.6 yards a play, which isn't like setting the world on fire, but it's certainly not bad. For what they were on the field, 5.6 yards a play is certainly fine, especially for an offense that has tons and tons of question. The problem, though, is that
concern might be running 45 plays.
Yeah, I don't know if concern is the right word, but it's just like it's hard to extrapolate just 45 plays. You know, you and I ran 68 plays, I think is what it was. They ran like 20 something more plays than Iowa State. Now that can happen when you have a pick six and stuff, and a couple interceptions and stuff like that. The second interception was right before halftime, so Iowa State ran one play and then it was over. So, you know, that kind of stuff can't happen, but it's just really the thing with the only ran 45 offensive plays that it's just hard to extrapolate a ton from that as far as future trends and stuff like that. But we did learn a few things last Saturday about the offense.
So what'd you learn?
So right now I would say we can say Rocco started. Rocco Beck is going to start against Iowa. I don't know if the quarterback thing is 100% settled, but I would say right now it's stable as it is for a while anyways. Like, I think like Rocco's the starter pretty much. What we did find, I think we found some clarity at running back though. Cause like you said, I don't know if you didn't get a chance to watch much of it, but Abu Sama is a dude. That guy is really, really good. There's a specific run. Go back and watch it. It was like a 20-something yard run. He came off. They gave it to him on the outside. He ran, sprinted around got around, just beat some dudes to the edge with the speed, came over, stiff armed a dude to the ground, juked another one, then stiff armed another defensive tackle to the ground, and then finally got tackled after that. I mean, like full on like Dave Montgomery type stuff. And
he's not going to be doing that against Jay Higgins, so
that's okay. Like, he doesn't have to do that. I mean, if that run is your minimum standard for running backs, then a
little bit different.
There are no good running backs.
A little bit going up against FCS linebackers and Big Ten linebackers.
But that's the type of spark you're looking to find when you're trying to find a couple guys in a running back room to lean on. Runs like that are how you find it. Especially coming out of a true freshman like that was always really highly regarded. He had tons and tons of buzz around him during camp from scrimmages and things like that. That's a guy that I would say right now, like if they were going to start leaning towards two guys, Cartavius Norton and Abu Sama would probably be the two right now. But there's three more behind him that are going to get carries.
But keep in mind, Abu, not to already start conflicting with you, but keep in mind that Abu only ran 6 times.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's not like
they only ran 45 plays total, and he split carries with like 3 other backs. But like I said, the carries he did have were extremely promising. I mean, he runs hard. He's elusive. He's a tough runner. We thought that stuff coming out of high school, and it appears that those skills have translated to the college level, at least against an FCS opponent, a very good FCS opponent. And we're going to see. He's still young, and Iowa State still has a lot of really, really, really young guys on that offense. But the early returns for Abu Sama are very, very promising. It was good to see Cartavius Norton get out there and run hard too. We also saw that the tight end position should be returning back to it on the way back to returning to its former glory. Tyler Moore, the two offensive touchdowns that Iowa State did score came from tight ends. One from Tyler Moore, who's a redshirt freshman out of Johnston, very promising young guy. And then Ben Bramer, who is a true freshman out of Nebraska. He got that straight up by taking the top off the defense as a tight end on a play action route. So, I mean, that was very promising. We heard lots and lots of stuff about him in the preseason as well and during camp and things like that. Again, not a lot of snaps on offense, so it's hard to project too much. But we saw 2 young tight ends that made some really, really nice plays that you just didn't see last year because the bodies just weren't in the tight end room. Wide receiver position, there's nothing to take from last week. Nobody knows. It's just Jaden Higgins appears to be the X. He's the number one guy. Jalen Knoll in the slot. Beyond that, really not much to take away from last game. Just not enough snaps, not enough pass attempts.
Mark, here's a stat that will blow your mind. When you consider how bad Iowa's wide receiver play and lack of involvement with the wide receiving core has been in recent years, Iowa had 4 receptions by wide receivers on Saturday. Iowa State had 5, and 4 of those went to Jalen Knoll for 6 yards. 4 receptions for 6 yards for Jalen Knoll. The only other catch to a wide receiver was a 15-yard grab by Jaden Higgins.
The tight end position is alive and well in Iowa.
Well, I'll tell you what.
But like I said, those are really small sample sizes. Like those are not statistically significant sample sizes.
What do you mean? What they're not
like statistical significance? That's a thing. Like you have to have a certain you have to have a certain sample size for it to be considered statistically significant. That's why we have minimum snap counts. Iowa State did not run enough plays last weekend on offense to make the minimum play count for NCAA's team offensive statistics. You had to run 50 plays last weekend to qualify for like the yards per play statistics to show up on the NCAA website. Iowa State did not run enough plays to show up on that. It just is what it is. I mean, it's hard. You can't really control the number of plays you do, especially when you have pick sixes and long field goals and whatever else. But I mean, you're talking about 6 pass attempts and then trying to project that like, oh, this unit's garbage because they had 6 balls thrown.
Well, I'm not saying they're garbage. I
mean,
reason I brought it up, Levi. I mean, the reason I brought it up is because you know how I feel traditionally, and when I say traditionally, I'm talking about like the last 10 years. Wide receiver is probably the one of probably 2 spots on the field where you can almost guarantee Iowa State's better.
Sure.
Like every year, you just know they're going to be better at wide receiver. You know they're going to be better at running back. Now, maybe, and then
the problem is we just don't know about receiver. We just don't know,
and so that's what I'm saying. You don't know. That's like where's the edge that Iowa State's had to stay really competitive and have. Not that this series can't be competitive without that edge. I just think that's what has made this series.
There's
great.
not like a clear like Iowa State as of right now. We don't know for sure, I guess, but as of right now, we don't have a clearly identifiable generational talent at wide receiver like we have had for most of a decade.
Is there a generational talent anywhere on this team?
Good question. JJ Cole, I would say JJ Cole potentially. He's not starting, but he's a true freshman quarterback playing against the best defense on Iowa State's schedule. That's just asking for trouble, especially one that forces a ton of turnovers. TJ Tampa. TJ Tampa is absolutely a generational prospect.
I'm with you on that.
I think right now Dominique Orange is on that type of trajectory. We'll see how he pans out. He's only a sophomore, but
what about Hammond Bacon?
Bacon had a great game on Saturday. We'll see. Iowa State played just a ton of people on defense. They played 35 players on defense last weekend, including I want to say they played like 11 or 12 linebackers. I mean, they played everybody and their grandma that was within shouting distance of the stadium played defense for Iowa State on Saturday. So we'll see. I mean, there's lots of really good young talent all over that side of the ball, especially like I said, TJ Tampa he's a generational player for Iowa State. I think Dominique Orange can be there. There's some really good young linebackers on the roster. Jack Sadowski started as a true freshman at middle linebacker yesterday, which has very much shades of Mike Rose, who started as a true freshman at middle linebacker and made his first official start in Kinnick Stadium because his first actual start was against the South Dakota State game that got canceled due to lightning, and then made his actual first start in Kinnick. But I mean, that's, like I said, shades of Mike Rose there. The early buzz has been really good about him. So that's, he's only played 1 game, but again, guy that has potential there. But I mean, it's hard to like measure the quality of a roster by the number of generational players on it, because one, we've gotten spoiled the last 7-ish years under Matt Campbell, where we've had entire rosters where most of the starting 22, the starting 11 on each side of the ball was filled with like all-time great players, just because I would say it's all-time great list is not that great. But part of it too is like eventually as you start having more and more all-time greats, you or as you have more and more good all-time or really good players, less of them can be all-time greats just because of the quantity there. But yeah, I see what I mean, like, I know what you're asking though. I mean, like right now we have a couple easily identifiable stars, but on the defensive side, offensive side, we don't have that right now, but even though we're used to seeing that under Matt Campbell, where you say it's Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, Xavier Hutchinson, or Allen Lazard, or Hakeem Butler, or whoever it is, you can point to a dude and be like, that's the dude. Whatever.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe I'm totally off on this evaluation. Mark, you tell me if I am. But when you're looking at programs like Iowa State that aren't bringing in 4- and 5-star talent, that obviously have to develop depth and develop their rosters through and through. When you have, Iowa has made a living not only in that development, but on having year in and year out, I think, at least 3 generational guys a year, right? Like Jack Campbell, generational talent. AJ Epinesa, generational. Cooper DeJean, generational.
But notice none of the players you just named play offense.
Okay, Tyler Linderbaum, generational. That took a long time.
Yeah, offensive line. Yeah, I mean, but like
okay, all right. Let's the offensive line. Hold on a second. Let's
QBs and skill position players.
Oh, okay. See, he changes this.
Well, no, I mean that's
We've eliminated 5 of the 11 players on offense by making that statement.
Sure. Okay. Name one. Okay, besides Tyler Linderbaum,
Sam Laporta.
He's not a generational player. Come on. He's good. He's in the hall of very good tight ends.
He's about to start as a tight end as a rookie for the Lions. He's going to start as a rookie at tight end.
Let's start the conversation by understanding that the term generational is blown out of proportion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about elite.
So it's understood kind of that it's truly not generational.
You could probably retweak it to say elite players.
I'm talking about guys who are going to end up being like top 2 or 3 round draft picks.
Yeah.
Elite players. Good. That's a better word. Sure. Well, let's use the word elite.
Yeah.
But I just think like for the most part, year in and year out, Iowa always has 2 or 3 of those types of guys. And Iowa State, to me, part of, perhaps they've not had the development depth that Iowa has had, since through and through since Campbell took over, but they have had every year they've had at least 1 or 2 of those guys. Will McDonald is a good example of that. Last year, Breece Hall was an example of that. Montgomery was an example of that. I guess you could argue Purdy was, although he didn't play very well in this series.
Funny enough, for as long as he was at Iowa State, he only played Iowa twice.
I know you always bring that up,
which is it's just kind of funny because he played at Iowa State forever, but he only actually played Iowa twice,
and he lost both times, but
because of COVID, obviously, but also
COVID. But he didn't. His freshman year, he didn't start until the 4th game of the season.
Yeah,
so it was after the Iowa game.
But my point is, like, Iowa has those guys this year, right? I mean, they do. Cooper DeJean is that type of a guy this year. You look at offense. Okay. I'll give you Tampa. Tampa.
That's a big one.
Cooper DeJean. I think Jay Higgins might end up being that guy, and Xavier Wampa is a 5-star coming out of high school, and we'll see if he's that guy. But I mean, I think he's got a chance to be that guy. Both rosters have tons of players that are like they've got a chance to be that guy. Iowa State has Xavier Wampa.
Well, not a 5-star.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
you get one 5-star. Now you're getting cocky about it.
No, I'm just saying that. I'm just saying it's a little.
Well, no, but the point, we're kind of getting into the weeds,
and
because none of this really affects what happens on Saturday.
Luke, it doesn't. But Luke Lachey, Eric. Okay, Luke Lachey, Eric All, that tandem.
The thing about these teams is they're both functionally identical teams. Is that they are pretty horrible on offense. They've got a couple good tight ends. They've got some promising things at running back. They're hoping to find something at quarterback. Who knows? And the defenses are outrageously good.
How do you? I'm just curious. Hold on a second. I have no problem with your evaluation. How do you say, really for either team, especially a team that you don't follow, how do you say that Iowa's really horrible on offense? I would respect that comment if you could say they have been really horrible on offense. We've had one game.
Corey,
explain that to me. How you can say, well, we know that they're really horrible on offense, so let's just go on to the next topic.
Based on offensive coordinator has a clause built into his contract to keep his job for 25 points a game, which is dog shit point totals, and that's all he has to do to make his job. And right now, he's not on pace to get it.
The offensive through one game, buddy boy.
Now small sample sizes matter.
Well, no, I'm simply stating they still won by double figures. They scored 24 points.
I mean,
and if they scored 24
the
points,
minimum for double figures.
Look, I'm simply saying we don't know based on this one game as a whole that the offense is terrible. I think
we don't know based on one game that Iowa State's offense is bad.
I never said they were. I never said they were.
But right now, the data points we have is that they're not great. There's talent on both of them that could be good. Right now, if you were to ask 99% of people, both offenses are probably well below average. They're hoping to be average.
Yeah, but again, this is like asking the AP voters to give you preseason polls. That just what you think is going to happen, not based on any actual criteria.
We're on a
Can I split the difference? Can I split the difference on this one? Because Corey is holding to the letter of the law that this year can only be judged by the results and the performance on the field of this year. And there's certain validity to that.